Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I shall be reading next. The last week or so I have read only 4 things, but they were 4 relatively chunky things. So we're going to get together, we're going to celebrate the fact that I read some things that weren't novellas for once, and move on with our lives. So the first thing is fairly short. I finished Pattern Master by Octavia E. Butler. This is the 4th book that I have read in the Patternist series. I didn't love this. I thought it was okay. I think bizarrely my favourite book in the whole series has been Wild Seed, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. Obviously, possibly that could be because I've read that twice and I've only read the others once. I don't have a strong desire to reread this series. I just think that's kind of where I've landed on it. I will be returning them to the library very soon, so I need to make the video on the whole series very shortly. But if you are interested in like some very weird sci-fi, it might be for you. It wasn't necessarily what I like, but that was that. I've now finished that series. Huzzah for me. After that, I read a new release for next year. We are finally reading 2024 releases. Finally, as though that's a thing that I've been meaning to do for ages. I read A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This is a new book. It is being marketed to fans of Six of Crows. What's the phrase? It's a heist book. It's a getting the team together to do a heist kind of story. Ragtag group of criminals energy to it. I can understand why they've made Six of Crows comparisons. I think in some ways it has some stuff that Six of Crows doesn't have, mostly vampires, and in some ways it doesn't quite capture what Six of Crows has. It's a mixed bag. I think I'll probably try and make a review video on it because I think it's interesting to talk about as a comparison. Overall, I had a good time reading it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I had a fun, adventure-y time with it. It did exactly what I wanted it to do as a book, and I'd recommend it. I don't think I'd necessarily say it will fill a gap that Six of Crows has left in your life, nor would I say that if you're a dire hater of Six of Crows that you won't like this. It's just an obvious comparison to make. In this we follow Artie, who is a young woman and a criminal, and she has set up a tea house in a seedier part of town, which is most of the time a tea house, and after the lights go out it's a vampire drinking house essentially, which is very, very illegal. They end up getting called in to do a job essentially and has to put the team together, do a heist. It's a whole thing. A good time. I'll talk about it more in a video. Maybe next year. After that, I read The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is a big book. This is 700 pages. I read this in a day because I could not put it down and I'd read it before. It's wild to me. It's wild. I love this book so much. I just found it so much fun. I enjoyed it even more on a reread because I knew what was coming and I was getting excited for when those bits would turn up, and I couldn't stop reading it. I had to get to the end and I loved it so much. I cried. I wept like a little baby. It's so good. It's such a great conclusion to a trilogy. I've talked about Daevabad a lot on the channel. This book actually has its own video up on the channel if you're interested. Oh, so good. So good. I think this just captures a particular readability that I really enjoy. There's something very accessible about this, even though it's so long. Loved it. Had a great time. Join your friends. Continuing in the vein of big books, yesterday I finished Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. This is a reread. It's a sci-fi about multiverses and well, that's mostly about multiverses and what's different between universes and so such. It's a very sciencey book, which isn't normally my jam. I actually really liked this on a reread. Sci-fi usually does better on a second read for me because I know what I need to pay attention to and what I can skim over. I thought this was good. I liked a lot of the character elements to it. I do believe, based on the ending, that there are more books planned in this series, so we'll see how I feel about reading those. It's got a lot of different focuses. On the one hand, it's about kind of how multiverses might solve a climate crisis, and then on the other hand, it's about power and control and colonialism in the context of multiverses, which is interesting, and also about humanity and robots. There's a lot of different threads. It's not a sci-fi that is just about one thing, which I think is why it requires multiple reads. But it is very good. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but I liked it on a reread. So yes, I've only finished 4 things in the last week, but they were some hefty books, so I'm not upset about it. I'm about 150 pages into a reread of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm liking this a lot more on a reread. I think I was in a bad mood when I read it the first time and I couldn't get on board with the romantic interest and I didn't feel like there was very much chemistry. On a reread, knowing he's a romantic interest going in, I think it's a little bit easier to get on board with it. So I'm enjoying that. I'm actually liking the fairy stuff a bit more. I think I don't even know. I'd have to look at what I was reading around about the same time to get a proper feel. I know Angela's just talked about this in her series DNFing video, and she's not planning on reading the sequel. Angela, I'll report back. I'll let you know if the sequel's any good, because I will be reading that this week as well. This is a story about Emily Wilde, who is compiling an encyclopedia of fairies. It is written up as diary entries of her expedition to Hrafnsvik, maybe, to kind of explore these sort of Scandinavian fae folk to add to her encyclopedia. And there's a fancy romance going on at the same time with her kind of academic rival, I guess. It's light academia, it's romance, it is what it is. I haven't listened to any more of A Psalm of Storms and Silence. I just haven't listened to it, and I'm sorry. And I also haven't read any more of my fabric book. It's still stuck about 150 pages in. I haven't been prioritising it because I've got other stuff I've had to read. Still to read this week, I have Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is that sequel I was talking about. I'm going to see how I feel coming off the end of book 1 as to whether I want to prioritise picking that up or if I'm going to leave that for the weekend. And I also have my reread of Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is part of my reading old favourites kind of project that I'm doing. Love this. I'm so excited to pick it up again. I've had such a great year with T. Kingfisher. I want to keep the party going. This is kind of a original fairy tale about the sort of third princess in line for the throne going off on an adventure to save her sister. It's really good. I read it before. I've not reread it since. I'm really excited too. Looking ahead into next week as a bit of a preview for you, I will be rereading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I feel like I've been talking about all year. It's finally time to gift myself with a little reread. I'll also be closing out my reread of Daevabad by reading River of Silver, which is the collection of short stories in that world. I have in my schedule that I'm rereading A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I don't really know why. Have I not made a review video for it? Possibly. It might be coming up in Overbooked. I'm reading that apparently. Also rereading The Unbroken for a similar reason. That's never had a review up on the channel as far as I know. I might have to double check that. And lastly, shifting us neatly into things I've added to my TBR, I will be reading Heartsong by TJ Klune. Obviously the Green Creek series, which is his werewolf romance angst series, has been out for a while. It was self-published, but Tor are publishing them all very gradually, and we're up to book 3, and I will be reading it, and I will tell you my thoughts next week. Possibly the week after or the week after that, depending on when in the week I get to it. But that is the only book that I've added to my TBR in the last week. I don't know if you've been able to tell that the next year releases have started to kind of roll in, so we've got lots to talk about in terms of things for 2024. I do plan on making a new releases video at some point, so if there's anything you want me to look up and talk about, plonk it down in the comments. Not much to talk about in terms of new releases. I mentioned last week that The Witch Would Not was coming out. That is out now, and so is my review video. If you want to check that out, that came out yesterday. It's a fantastic fantasy romance book. You should read it if you are interested in that. It's gothic kind of styles. Really, really good. But go check out that review. It's spoiler free. You'll have a great time. And I think that might be the last new release I have on my list for the year. I will do a double check for next week's video, but I'm pretty sure we might be done for the year. In which case I should probably make my review of 2023 releases. I don't know. I think that is everything that I wanted to talk about this week. I've got my live stream with Patreon people tonight, which I'm very excited for. This weekend promises all sorts of busyness. We are so busy at the moment. Every single weekend has been packed full of things. It's been really enjoyable. Have you watched the new Doctor Who? What did you think? Let me know if you enjoyed it. I personally had a great time with it. All of these things, let's have a chat about them down in the comments or on Discord, whichever you fancy. While you are down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books, chill chats about Doctor Who, chill chats about sewing, whatever you want to talk about. We can do it on Discord. I would like to say an enormous thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They're a group of people who support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, my weekly live streams and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I shall be reading next. And where Luna the dog itches her face right as I'm talking, so I have to do the whole intro again. I am 200 or so? No, not even that. 150